Hello everyone, Olympic fever is upon us in this Inside the Americas. Here's a look. 500,000 tourists are rolling into Rio this summer, but not all Brazilians are that happy about the Games. Olympic security in Rio is key. Some 80,000 police and soldiers are patrolling the grounds. And among the many working at this year's Summer Games are quite a few French people. We'll take you backstage at the Olympics. Well, the 2016 Summer Games are finally here, and while the eyes of the world are turning to the athletes and the excitement, many locals are focusing on the problems that have plagued the run-up to the Games. Phoebe Lanzer-Wood explains.
A city of spectacular beaches and vibrant favelas, Rio de Janeiro is a paradise for tourists. 500,000 of them are rolling into town for the Olympics. But are the Games an empty financial promise for locals?
We had the World Cup, and have things improved since then? No. There are what I call black holes where invested money has just disappeared. Some were spent on projects during the World Cup, but we don't hear about it anymore. I don't think things are going to improve this time round.
As a priority, we need funding for health, education and security.
But when it comes to public transport, Rio's pulled out all the stops. A brand new metro line costing close to €3 billion was opened in the nick of time. It connects the city centre to the Olympic Park. For now, it will only be available for use by fans.
It's going to be great for the population of Rio after the Games. We've been waiting for better public transport for a while.
Sometimes it takes me 2 hours to travel to the city centre and the suburbs because there's no metro. It's only for the rich.
She's not wrong. During the Olympics, a single ride will cost €6. The line will be rolled out to the entire population in mid-September, when the ticket price is expected to plunge to €1. Stepping away from the sheen of Copacabana and into the shadows of the favelas, locals here have also grown disillusioned by the Olympic hype.
I don't really understand what's going on. I'm illiterate. All I know is that because of the Games, the price of meat has increased.
I really hope that everything that's been built for the Olympics is here to stay. It would be good because it would mean dozens of work opportunities for the population.
All eyes are on Brazil as it's propelled onto the world stage once again. And pressure is mounting amidst a series of corruption scandals, an unprecedented economic crisis, and political upheaval.
One of the biggest concerns for Brazil today is making the Olympics as safe as possible. More than 80,000 police and soldiers are patrolling the streets for the duration of the Games. Security forces have also been carrying out huge simulated counter-terrorism exercises, as Julia Seeger explains.
Inside the Olympic Park, Brazil's SWAT team, the BOP, is infiltrating the gymnasium for a reconnaissance mission. The aim of this drill is to neutralize a hostage taker. Important training sessions for these elite troops that are more accustomed to fighting organized crime than counter-terrorist acts.
Rio has specific crime and security problems. It's a huge city. We're working with foreign intelligence services who produce security reports. What's important is we're preparing for all the different operations we could face to counter all criminal or terrorist threats.
Brazil has never had a terrorist attack on its soil, but it's been prepping for that risk for months. There's a special aerial reconnaissance team and more than 80,000 police officers and soldiers deployed on the ground. Last week, however, the police arrested 12 people suspected of planning terrorist attacks during the Olympic Games after intercepting messages on Telegram.
The terror threat has not changed. Our country is not specifically targeted. We know that for a fact, and international intelligence services confirm it. The chances that a terrorist attack will be carried out in Brazil are slim.
Brazilian forces have been working with French SWAT teams to simulate attack scenarios. Today, the French raid is at Rio's international airport. This time, they're on a scouting mission ahead of the arrival of heads of state, including the French president, on August 5th.
After having talked to them, we can tell you that they're prepared. They will do their work really well and on the long run.
And for the Olympic Games, they'll do what they have to do to secure the venues.
To help police in their work, security agents will be monitoring the entire city, thanks to some 3,000 CCTV cameras.
No Olympic Games could function without hundreds, if not thousands, of employees and volunteers. Those workers are certainly on hand in Rio, but they're not all Brazilian. In fact, quite a few are actually French. Haxie Myers-Belkin takes us backstage at the Olympics.
Delphine, Sébastien and Arnaud, 3 people bringing a touch of French savoir-faire to this year's Olympics. Today at the Engenhão Stadium, it's a French woman running the show. Delphine is a sports events manager.
Today we're testing fan services. The point of today is to detect everything that doesn't appear to be working as it should.
Delphine oversees everything, from assigning jobs to volunteers to welcoming athletes. A key issue to tackle today, the electricity.
Those power cuts are often linked to the ongoing works. It's about how much electricity we allow into the stadium, but we have to keep an eye on it because we obviously need everything to work correctly.
To make sure that everything's as it should be when the games begin, Delphine's also charged with organising dry runs of each competition. She's got 46 tests under her belt already.
I call it the French touch. It's about anticipating, planning. That's my speciality. But it's not exactly Brazilian. We work well together. I've been doing this for the last 3 years, and the Brazilians are great at making things happen, so there's a balance.
On the other side of town, much later on, Arnaud Couchette and his team are preparing poulet farci, a chicken dish. And it's not just any meal. Everything's being specially prepared for the French delegation's triathletes and swimmers.
The stuffing's over there. I've started on this piece already, and then I'll roll it over.
The catering contract covers 60 tons of food, enough to feed the entire French delegation for a month. 3 chefs work to meet the demands of the multi-million euro deal.
We're a small specialist team responding to the needs of the French athletes. It's great. It's a real honour to be able to cook for them. We actually work at night to meet our obligations and also to prepare meals that are a little more refined than you might imagine, but which are still calorie controlled.
But no alcohol.
As for the French fan contingent, no one does it better than Sébastien Louis. The handball enthusiast has spent the last 8 years travelling the world, sharing his passion. Beijing, London and now Rio. At each Games he strives to bring French supporters together.
The idea is about creating a group that allows people to mix with each other. French people who come from abroad from other countries in Latin America, French citizens who live here. For me, it's about arriving at the Olympic Park and seeing 200 Esprit Bleu t-shirts. I might be sitting 200 metres away from them, but I'll be able to spot my fellow French supporters.
Sébastien's Rio-based Francophone sports club boasts some 800 members, all keen to welcome new French arrivals off the plane.
The Olympics wouldn't be anything without the athletes. And the most decorated Olympian in history is American swimmer Michael Phelps. This year, he's stepping up for his 5th and what he says is his final Summer Games. Phelps set the last of his 29 world records 7 years ago. He's now trying for an unprecedented 4-peat in the 100-meter butterfly and 200 individual medley. Phelps won't win 8 goals on 8 consecutive nights like he did in Beijing, but he could become the oldest swimmer to win individual gold. Julia Seeger has more.
There's no doubt about it. Michael Phelps has made waves in his chosen sport. He had decided to hang up his goggles after London 2012, but 2 years later he was back competing. And now he's about to participate in his 5th Olympic Games, a record for a U.S. swimmer.
Being able to make my 5th is something that means a lot to me, and that I think, 20 years from now I'll be able to look and be happy with making that decision to come back. Even when Bob looked at me and said you were crazy about wanting to come back, I'm doing this because I wanted to.
Under coach Bob Bowman's watchful eye, Phelps has qualified for the 100 and 200-meter butterfly and the 200-meter medley in Rio. With 22 medals to his name, including 18 gold, he is the most decorated Olympian in history. After every victory since the beginning of his career, his first words are for his mother. She's the one who sent him to swimming lessons to help him overcome his ADHD.
He was a very active young man, very energetic, and so I supported him and his sisters in anything that they wanted to do. Isn't that what a mom's supposed to do?
Today, breaking even more records in Brazil would give his career a fairy tale ending.
It's been a long time. It's been a hell of a long time since I've had a best time. I haven't swum best time since 2009. So, I'd like to have maybe one before I retire.
But in order to do so, Phelps will have to see off Hungary's Laszlo Cseh in the 100 and 200-meter butterfly. And in the 200-meter medley, he'll be up against fellow American Ryan Lochte and Japan's Kosuke Hagino.
In 2008, when he won 8 medals, I watched him on TV. And I watched him at the Olympics in 2004 in Athens as well. Being able to swim alongside and competing with champions like him is a true honor for me.
The youth of his rivals doesn't scare Phelps. The 31-year-old has been asked to captain the U.S. Olympic swim team and says this year he will be stronger mentally and physically.
Well, that wraps it up for this Olympic Inside the Americas, but we'll leave you now with one last look at Rio. See you soon.